One of the teams that's not in, however, playing very well right now is the Kentucky Wildcats. Obviously, a huge win last week, dominated Florida. You see the final score there, 38-7, 2 straight wins. This is a program that was basically on life support a few weeks ago. We're talking about Mark Stoops maybe being a defensive analyst for Kirby
Yes.
Smart in Georgia, maybe. But they have found some signs of life here. But a really interesting game coming up this week.
Yeah, and I mean, before we get into that game, I want to point out something that our friends in Arkansas would always say about Sam Pittman, and it was like he would do just enough to win his job back for the next year. And I feel like this win over Florida probably secures Mark Stoops' job for next year. But he's going to enter next year on the hot seat, as it seems like he always does nowadays. But I think I read that they changed the offensive play calling leading into this game, and that definitely helped here. I mean, the ground game was just unstoppable.
Yes,
233 rush yards and 3 rushing touchdowns. Cutter Boley had a pretty good game. He had a QBR of over 90, I think, for the first time this season. So, you know, they're starting to get hot at the right time. Obviously, college football playoff hopes are well gone, but this is going to be an interesting test this week because they welcome in Tennessee Tech. And while you might not think that's a great matchup, Tennessee Tech is 10-0 in the OVC.
Yep. And it's a game, in my opinion, because Tennessee Tech, they come in, they have nothing to lose. I mean, they're just going to go out there and just play ball. We'll talk about their quarterback here in a second, but they walk into a Kentucky team that obviously 4-5 on the year, still have hopes of playing in a bowl game later on in the year. But this is a really tough matchup, and typically you don't see lines on these games from your onshore books. Sometimes your offshore books will have some lines. I've heard anywhere between 11 points, 9 points to 11 points as far as where Kentucky's favored. So
in this game,
so
I mean,
giving the Golden Eagles a shot here.
Yeah, I seriously could see a scenario where Tennessee Tech actually wins this game. And honestly, I was probably thinking right in the 8-11 range for Kentucky being favored. I mean, you look at this matchup on paper and you'd think Kentucky's got at least 20 points on them. No, I mean, this is going to be a pretty good matchup. And, you know, Tennessee Tech has a pretty good quarterback over there. I mean, 22 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions. He can do it on the ground, too. 77 carries for 40 on the ground and 3 rushing touchdowns. But you got to give some respect to Cutter Boley because it seems like he's started to find a little bit of rhythm here the last 2 weeks.
Absolutely. He certainly has. And he's had that confidence. I think he had the confidence last year, but the team was not having success. I think that we've said this a lot of times on this show. Quarterback's best friend is a good running game. And once they were able to run the football with consistency, I think that gave Cutter Boley a chance to really settle down into the offense a little bit more and play a little bit more consistently. But the other side of that graphic was the comparison to the Tennessee Tech quarterback, Kekoa Vispris, I believe there is his name.
The senior out of Washington.
And he comes in with one heck of a resume, more than 2,100 yards so far this season. We said the Golden Eagles are undefeated on the year, 22 touchdowns to 4 interceptions. That ratio is ridiculous.
Wow.
And at about 400 yards there on the ground, so more than 2,500 yards, 25 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. And say what you want to. I know that he's playing largely against OVC opponents. And if you look up the OVC stats, Jacksonville State was in the OVC, and OVC's seen a little bit more as a basketball conference, more so than a football conference. But I think that this is a Golden Eagle team and a quarterback that will come in to Kroger Field, Kroger Stadium, whatever they call it these days. They're going to come in with a lot of confidence, and like I said, nothing to lose. Just go out there and just air it out.
I mean, what do you have to lose? I mean, you're going to an SEC school. You're getting paid.
Right.
Obviously, everyone talks about, playing these mid-majors and them getting paid as well, and which is great for these mid-majors because that's a major revenue boost for them. But honestly, we've seen it on the basketball side already. I know Tennessee Tech isn't Division II, but I think we've already seen 3 Division II teams on the basketball side upset Division I teams this year. So I wouldn't put it past the Golden Eagles to go into Kroger Field and upset the Kentucky Wildcats. But that might – I know I just talked about Mark Stoops might have his job for next year. I think if he loses this game, then it's right back on that.
Yeah, he's right. It goes right back to it. Speaking of Mark Stoops, we got a chance to hear from him about wanting to have success for this fan base who's obviously been very loyal.
It's important. I acknowledge that. I understand. These folks sacrifice an awful lot and they care. They continue to show up, and we're going to need them to continue to do that. And we always acknowledge it and appreciate them. And they, have to save money. They travel long distances. They, show up, week in and week out. And I've always acknowledged our responsibility to play well for them. And I promise you, we give it great effort. And, I like this team, and I think they do too, because they're very tough, and they care, and they're passionate for each other and to play well. And it was nice to get some rewards. We're close a lot, but that doesn't count, when you're a fan or media, so I understand that.
It's always funny when it comes to fans, Patrick, because if you remember at the beginning of the season, and not a lot of people remember this because not a lot of people talk Kentucky football in the offseason, but there was a lot of talk about their recruiting and things like that, and he kept saying he was motivated, and they made it was an internet joke for the longest time about motivated Mark Stoops, and
Yes.
and it was the same fan base that was frustrated with the results. But now, like he just said there, you kind of have to walk this fine line of appreciating their support, blocking out the noise at the beginning of the season, but appreciating their support at the end of the year.
I think the fans are starting to turn their heads a little bit here after a second straight win. Obviously, you went into Jordan-Hare Stadium, took down Auburn, and now you just dominated Florida at home. But as you mentioned, before the season, losing your top recruiter to your in-state rival Louisville, that doesn't really help. But, I mean, it basically exposes you as a head coach at this point, because it's like, all right, were you made because you're a recruiter, or are you actually a good coach? And now I think we're starting to see Kentucky maybe turn a corner here. Obviously, got Tennessee Tech this weekend, but I mean, if they can go off and rattle, I believe they have 2 weeks left in the regular season. I think they're off next week.
Before
they
Louisville.
If they can go into Louisville and beat Louisville, I mean, Mark Stoops, he's definitely off the hot seat at that point.
No question. If you beat your arch rival, you knock off Auburn, you beat Florida.
The men's basketball team couldn't do it.
I know. That's exactly right. I think a lot of people were joking that Big Blue that the Kentucky football fans have already turned to basketball far this season.
What was the what did Baker Mayfield say to Kansas fans one time? Go cheer on basketball.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see if Kentucky can get it done this weekend against Tennessee Tech. A perfect 10-0 going into that matchup.